Alrighty, Rick, let's get into our NRL Round 14 predictions for the upcoming games. Game 1, we've got Friday night. We've got the Dragons at home taking on the West Tigers. I think the Dragons have had a massive win last round against Penrith. They scored 22 second half unanswered points after trailing 10-0 going into the half. The Dragons, they looked really dry in that first half last week, but they must have got an absolute spray at halftime. But they've listed Ben Hunt, Jaden Sewer, and Zach Lomax in the reserves, so they could play depending on how they pull up after Origin. The Tigers, they're coming off a bye last week, but they had their 8th straight loss the week prior in Townsville. Rick, who do you think will take out this game?
Yeah, I think the Dragons will have another win for this one. Tigers, yeah, they've lost 8 straight, and they're missing a few of their key players. You've got Dave Clemmer, their enforcer, still suspended. He's not back until round 17. You got Isaiah Papali'i, he's out for a few weeks. And then Olam's back, but Olam is back in the side after being suspended as well. But yeah, I don't know. The Tigers, yeah, they haven't looked too good all year. First year of coaching for Benji Marshall. They're a young side. Dragons, if they get a couple of their Origin players back, especially like your Ben Hunt and your Zach Lomaxes, that should definitely put them over the hump against the Tigers who have been struggling. Dragons, they've been a little bit inconsistent most of this year, but a big win against Penrith last week, even without their Origin stars. It's still a big win in itself, especially beating Penrith at Penrith. So you can't deny that. I'm taking Dragons to win this one.
Yeah, nice. And then we've got Saturday afternoon. We've got the Titans at home taking on the Rabbitohs. Now, we've got both of these teams are coming off a bye last round. But the week before an Indigenous round, the Titans somehow pulled off a magical upset against the Broncos at Suncorp too. So huge from them. But we've got Kieran Foran back in the side from his hamstring injury. We've also got Phil Sami and Jojo Fafita back in. They've listed Jaden Campbell, who's been out for a while in the reserves, so he could look to come back into the side depending on how his injury is going. The Titans have also listed Fodawaker to start at prop, their Origin rep. And Cody Walker will be back for the Rabbitohs after missing last games with a calf injury. This is a tough one, to be honest. I think David Fafita on the Titans is going to have something to prove and a bit of a chip on his shoulder after missing out completely in the Origin selection for Queensland. But I think the Rabbitohs, they've been building, and I've got them, even though the Titans had a massive win against the Broncos. If anything, that was more the Broncos' fault. I'm actually going to go the Rabbitohs just because Cody Walker's back and Jack Whiten looked really good in the halves last game. So I've got the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, I'm with you as well with this one, Sam. I got the Rabbitohs as well. I think putting Whiten in the halves is probably a massive game changer for the Bunnies. He obviously was so good for the Raiders just in that 5'8" position. He's a running half. He can create so many opportunities for the Rabbitohs, and obviously you're pairing him with Cody Walker, who's been such a great halfback for the Rabbitohs for a number of years now. So that should be really good for the Bunnies. Obviously, they got Latrell Mitchell. I think he's starting to pick up his fitness and might push a spot for Origin in Game 2 with how talented he is. Again, like you said, I think it was the Broncos just being more not as good compared to the Titans. I think it was, the Broncos' defense just lackluster towards that second half, more so the Titans being good. But they do have a few of their key players coming back. But this might be the game of the round, but I'm picking the Rabbitohs to win this.
Yeah, nice. And then we've got Saturday evening, we've got the Cowboys taking on the Warriors up in Townsville. And the Cows, they had a huge win over the Roosters last round after missing a lot of players. It looked like almost a reserve side on paper, like that many players out, but with Origin, obviously. But they held the Roosters out, the Cows, last week for 25 minutes before the Roosters scored a try in the first half. And I thought Scott Drinkwater looked really good last game. Now the Cows, they've listed all 6 of their Origin players in the extended 24-man squad. So I'd expect most of their players to play in this game. They're tough, those Cowboys players. So they should play, I think. And the Warriors, they had a bye last week, but they beat the Dolphins the week before at home in a massive win there. They're getting back some key players too. They got Kurt Capewell, Wade Egan, and Adam Fanua-Blake. But unfortunately, Sean Johnson's still out with that pec injury. I'm personally going to go the Cowboys 13+. They've got a great record at home, and I can't see the Warriors beating them here. I think the Cows are going to try and make that push for that top 8, sitting in 10th at the moment. So I'm going the Cows 13+.
I'm taking the Warriors for this one. I think those last couple of games that they've had, they beat the Panthers in Magic Round, and then they beat the Dolphins back at home in New Zealand. So coming off some really impressive wins, they had that period where they were just looking really flat. They weren't able to put points up on the board. But yeah, I think they can hold the Cowboys down in this game, and I think they can just grind them out. They are playing in North Queensland, but again, I think if their defense holds, you've got Fanua-Blake back, who can run you through some meters in the middle. Kurt Capewell coming back is massive for them as well on the defensive side. So Warriors are getting some key players back, and I think this will be another really good win for them. I'm picking the Warriors for this.
Yeah, good. Good to change it up. We've got Saturday, our final game of the night. We've got the Bronx at home taking on the Sharks. The Bronx, yeah, as we said earlier, they had a shocking loss to the Titans last week. Too many errors in attack and just horrible defensively. They tried beating them with just pure attack, and they just didn't play any defense. And you can't really do that against the Titans. The Broncos, they've listed all their Origin players to play in this game. We've also got Katoni Staggs returning from that rib injury that he's been dealing with. You've got to feel bad for Payne Haas, though. Like, all the stuff going on in his personal life, and he's still going out there performing every single round. He's just an absolute warrior and a real role model, I think. And the Sharkies, they've had back-to-back losses for the first time this season with their loss against the Eels, and they look really lost without Nico Hines, and he's been listed out of this game just to rest after that Origin. But they've named Cam McInnes to back up after Origin, so I think this will be a really good game. I've got the Bronx here 1-12 just because they're at home, and I think some momentum. They've got to get some momentum after losing to the Titans earlier. So, yeah, I've got the Bronx in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I've got the Bronx as well for this game just because, getting their Origin players back, they'll definitely be a bit more of a disciplined side after just leaking so many points, especially in that second half against the Titans. Kevy Walters, he would not be too happy with that. So obviously having your Origin players back in, that's big for them. Sharks, like you said, they just looked lost without Nico Hines sort of being their conductor for the Sharks against Para, who had Mitchell Moses and Clint Gutherson back in the side. But yeah, it'll be hard for the Sharks to win without Nico against the Broncos at Suncorp. So I'm taking the Broncos for this.
Yeah, beautiful. And then we've got our first game Sunday in the afternoon. We've got top of the ladder Melbourne Storm taking on the Newcastle Knights. Now, the Storm, they had a bye last week, but the week prior they lost to the Sea Eagles. I think Katoa is having a massive season for the Storm. He's been amazing in the kick chase especially. Xavier Coates and Harry Grant have both been listed to play, but the Will Warbrick injury has seen a few shifts to their lineup. Now, the Knights, they've listed the same 17-man squad as they had in their 32-2 defeat to the Bulldogs. That game was a hard watch because the Knights, they've been so good so far without Ponga, but it felt like they just didn't have anything that game. They were really flat. The Knights were a man up for, I think, like 25% of the game or even more. The Doggies had 2 men in the bin for different parts of the game. But yeah, I've got the Storm 13+ in this one. I think the Storm should outclass the Knights here in this game. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Knights, missing Ponga. They've also got a few other injuries as well. Tyson Gamble. I think, the Storm are just on paper a better team. They're just a better side. And I think, nothing to see through this. I think the Storm will just outclass Newcastle.
Yeah, for sure. And especially missing Bradman Best.
Yeah,
again.
Big out as well.
Yeah, massive. And then our final game for Sunday, we've got another afternoon game. We've got the Panthers taking on the Sea Eagles. The Panthers are in third on the ladder at the moment, but They were up 10-0 at halftime and got smashed by the Dragons in the second half. And we could attribute that to obviously having a lot of their pivotal players missing for this one. But Dylan Edwards has been listed in the reserves. I don't really know if I'd expect him to play. They might keep him out, just precautionary reasons. But To'o, Luai, Martin, and Yo have all been listed. They're going with Jack Cole partnering in the halves with Luai, so Brad Schneider comes out of the lineup there. Manly, they're coming off a bye last week, but had that massive win over Melbourne in the week earlier. Manly, it's pretty funny, right? Like Manly has both the New South Wales and the Queensland captain.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both good blokes, so I doubt there's any tension between them. Now, the Manly did beat the Panthers 32-18 earlier in the seasons. And the Sea Eagles have also listed all three of their origin players in Olaquatu, Jake Trebojevic and Daly Cherry Evans to play in this game. But I'm taking the Panthers to bounce back after this game, last game, sorry. I'm taking them by 1-12. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see the Panthers losing back-to-back at home in Penrith. They're just such a good side, even without Cleary as well. They're like, if you could compare them to an NBA team, they're probably like the Boston Celtics. Like, they're just such a good team during the regular season, except the only difference is that the Panthers are actually a dynasty and the Celtics aren't. But in saying that, though, I think, yeah, Manly, missing Turbo is just like, it's a big loss for them. They, it was a massive win that they had against the Storm, a lot of character that they showed that game, but I think that they'll just get a bit outclassed by Penrith, even without Cleary as well. So Panthers, I don't see them losing back-to-back at home. I'm taking them to win this.
Yeah, awesome. And then we've got a Monday Arvo game because of Origin and stuff. So we've got the Bulldogs who are in 9th place taking on the Parramatta Eels who are in 15th. Now, I've been high on the Dogs for a really long time, and I came out and said a few weeks ago in our Discord chat, they're a halfback away from being like a top 6, top 4 side, and I stand by that claim. I think they're starting to look like a top 8 side. Their defence, I think they rank 2nd or 3rd in defence. It's been absolutely amazing this season. Jacob Carraz had a massive performance last week against the Knights, and I'm really keen on him to keep that momentum coming forward. It was such a shame to lose Addo Carr. He's out with a hamstring injury for about 8 to 10 weeks. He played like he had a point to prove recently, especially missing out on Origin selection. Likely for Stephen Crichton and Matt Burton to play, given the 5-day turnaround between Origin. Obviously, Burton 18th man for the Blues, but with the amount of HIAs and stuff that happened, we could probably expect Burton to be activated. You never know, but I think he's got a good chance of playing in Origin, but he should still back up for this game. Para, getting Clint Gutherson and obviously Mitchell Moses, like we spoke about earlier, helped them get the win against the Sharks last week. They've also listed Blaze Taulangi in the centres, replacing Bailey Simonson, who's out for the season with the ACL rupture. Now, he was playing with an ACL tear. He was playing through it, which is crazy. He must be like Iron Man or something. That's
Credit
wild.
to him, yeah.
But this sees Sean Russell moving to the wing for Para. And Jermaine Hopgood, he's likely to play for the Eels. Look, I'm going the Dogs. I think the Eels are the favourites actually at the moment, but I'm going the Dogs. I just think their defense has just been so good. And obviously getting Crichton and Burton back in for their attack. I think losing Addo Carr is going to be tough for them, but they've got the talent to replace him. So I'm going the Doggies upset here, 1-12.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, actually. I'm pretty high on the Dogs myself this season. They've probably been a slightly underrated side, especially how disappointing they've been the last couple of years. But this year, they can definitely make a push for the top 8. It's going to be a tough game, this one, with Mitchell Moses back in the side. And he definitely, raised some questions on whether or not he should be playing Origin in Game 2 in the halves, because he's just that talented of a player. He's just that caliber of a player to be in that side.
He'll be in the halves next game.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
So could be another statement game from Moses, but I think the Bulldogs just edge this one out. This should be a really, really good contest. Even with, Addo Carr missing, and hopefully if Burton plays, that would be big for the Doggies, but I'm taking the Doggies to win a really, really close game.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks for listening to our NRL predictions and chat. Comment whose predictions you prefer. And if you pick mine, we'll give you a free 2-week trial. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
See ya.